Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, my dear girls? Today, inshallah, I'm going to explain the first lesson in Unit 2 about the Umayyads. First of all, look at this picture. Can you see these old buildings from the city of Damascus? Of course, you know that old buildings and old remains can be evidence or source of information that can tell us about the past. This is the city of Damascus. The Umayyads built this city and made it their capital. Now, after about 1,300 years later, we can still visit some of the magnificent places built during the Umayyad Caliphate. And now, in this unit, we are going to study the Umayyads in details. Let us start studying about them in lesson 1. Knowing about the past. How do we know information about the Umayyads? We can use some sources of information like these ones. First picture, artifacts or ancient sites and maps. These silver coins are from the time of the Umayyad Caliphate. The writing is in Arabic, the official language of the Caliphate. So what is the official language of the Umayyad Caliphate? The official language of the Umayyad Caliphate was the Arabic language. There are no people or things shown on the coins, just the two shahada. These two old coins can be a source of information about the Umayyads. This old map, this is a map for the Umayyad Caliphate. No. This is a map for the Rashidun Caliphate. The Umayyad Caliphate became bigger and larger than the Rashidun Caliphate because the Umayyad Caliphate contained part of Europe also. Can you see this old well? Nobody at the time had running water at their homes. People fetched or brought water from rivers and wells like this. What do we call this old building? This is the Amra Palace. It is considered one of the most magnificent buildings built during this time. So, all these are evidence or sources of information from which we could get information about the Umayyad Caliphate. And now let us talk about the Umayyad Caliphate itself after we understand or see what are the sources of information or from where did the people get information about the Umayyads. Timelines. Of course, the timeline is very helpful and it can show us clearly the beginning and ending of some special events. We can use timelines to show the most important events and dates in the history of a country or a person's life. In this unit, you are going to look at the events in the Middle East between the year 661, means the middle of the 7th century, and 750 AD, it means the middle of the 8th century. Now we are in the 21st century. During the rule of the Umayyad Caliphate, so the Umayyad Caliphate is between 661 and 750 AD. Can you see this timeline? Let me explain the timeline for you. I'll make it a little bigger. This timeline here, in this point, 570 AD, the Prophet ﷺ was born. After some years, in 622, he made hijrah from Mecca to Medina, and all the Muslims started to live in Medina. This is the year of the hijrah. This short line until you find the intersection, the intersected two small lines, this short distance is the year 632 till the year 630. From here, this short distance from 622 until 632, about 10 years passed. It's the Prophet's life in Medina. The Prophet lived in Medina only for 10 years, and then he died in the year 632. In the same year in which the Prophet died, Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq started the Rashidun Caliphate. So the Rashidun Caliphate started in the year 632. This small arrow, this small dotted arrow means the Rashidun Caliphate, starting from Sayyidina Abu Bakr and ended with Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib, who died or who was killed in 661. This small distance or this small dotted arrow means the 2 years for Sayyidina Abu Bakr, 10 years for Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, 12 years for Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan, and 4 years only for Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib until his death in 661. And when Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib died in this year, the Rashidun Caliphate came to an end. Just after the death of Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib, in the same year, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan became the caliph, and he started the Umayyad Caliphate. The one who started the Umayyad Caliphate was Muawiyah. Muawiyah, he started the Umayyad Caliphate in the year 661, means in the middle of the 7th century, and the Umayyad Caliphate continued for about 1 century. It ended in the year 750 AD. This is called the Umayyad Caliphate. It continued for nearly or about 100 years. And of course, you know that the 100 years means a whole century. When the Umayyad Caliphate ended in the year 750, when the Umayyads flee or escaped to Hispania, and Hispania means Spain today, at the same time, the Abbasids Caliphate start. The Abbasids Caliphate start. Okay, so you understand when is the end of each one. By the way, this timeline is very important. It will help you to do the homework of this week. It is about the timeline that show these events. This is the timeline that will help you do the homework for this week in the discussion room. Let us talk more about this. Centuries. The Umayyad Caliphate started in the middle of the 7th century and lasted until the middle of the 8th century AD. A century is a period of 100 years, and the 7th century means the period from 600 until 699. Okay? What about the family trees here? Many of the caliphs in the Umayyad Caliphate were related to each other. It means the caliph after him, his son or his brother. We can show how people are related to each other by drawing a family tree. Again, by drawing a family tree. We are going to talk about the family tree of the Umayyad caliphs next time, because this is the end of lesson 1. I hope you understand lesson 1. Lesson 1 is just an introduction. At the end of it, we knew when the Umayyad Caliphate started and when did it end. Inshallah, next time we are going to talk about the Umayyads in details and the caliphs of this era. Thanks for being with me, and goodbye till we meet again.